JJK Modulo Chapter 11 explained in 30 seconds or less. So last chapter was decided that the Sumerians and Earthlings would have a cultural exchange in the form of a feast. While preparations are underway, Usami and Mino talk about some of the implications of what could happen next. News about the Sumerian spaceship above their planet is starting to spread across the world, but the fact that spaceship is powered by cursed energy is classified, and Usami says it needs to remain a secret. Apparently for years they've been trying to figure out how to convert cursed energy into an energy source. Eventually development stalled out because they couldn't figure out how to do it in an efficient manner. And eventually they do want to get this technology from the Sumerians, but they want to make sure there are rules and laws in place before that protect the Japanese people from being hunted and abducted for their ability to use cursed energy. Eventually the point of view switches to Yuka, Tsurugi, Maru, and Cross, who decided the theme of the cultural exchange event should be a takoyaki party. And the only ingredient they're missing for their takoyaki balls are high quality octopus, which Usami says, I think I have a connection that can help us out with that. So Usami sends Tsurugi and Maru to the dock to retrieve this octopus, where they meet this expert fisherman who explains there's a very specific kind of octopus that will be perfect for their takoyaki party. They call it a wancha octopus. It's a mutation of a local giant Pacific octopus perfectly adapted to these waters. And apparently, like all octopi, it was born with 8 limbs or 8 tentacles, and over time they shrivel up one by one until it only has 1 tentacle left, but all the flavor of the missing 7 go into that one. Now he explains how to fish for them, and it's pretty simple, but the only problem is you have to get through an army of jellyfish to find them. Tsurugi volunteers to go first because he doesn't think Maru can actually swim, and he also just wants to show off his athleticism, and he's just that kind of guy. While this is happening, the point of view briefly switches back to Yuka and Cross, who's having a conversation about her illness. Cross is curious as to why she hasn't told her brother about it yet, and she says basically, I don't want any special treatment. She doesn't have a whole lot of time left to live, and she wants things to stay as they are. The point of view then switches back to the dock where Tsurugi has successfully retrieved one of these wancha, but at a great cost. Them jellyfish were fucking him up. Seeing Tsurugi's success in capturing one of these octopi made Maru want to try it too, so he dives in the water the same way Tsurugi did, and he's successful as well, but also at the same cost as Tsurugi faced. Jellyfish 2, Tsurugi and Cross 0. Tsurugi then says his octopus is bigger, but this sparks a really interesting conversation where we learn a little bit more about the Sumerian. Maru says, hang on, we gotta stretch them all the way out first and then measure them, and as a warrior, I can't lose. Tsurugi says, what are warriors in Rumelian culture? Maru says, they're sorcerers basically, but only men are sorcerers. And Tsurugi says, wait, women aren't allowed? Then he goes on to explain it's not that, but Rumelian women can't wield cursed energy the same way that they can. They can only be what Earthlings call windows, so when they came to Earth and saw Yuka, they were a little bit surprised. He adds on that he has heard of female Discante warriors, but he doesn't know a whole lot about them. He continues, our Jujutsu is said to be a power bestowed upon our Rumelian ancestors by the Kalian, who were sent by the god. We're taught that men were granted this power because they can't bear children and that they should use it to protect women and children. Tsurugi says it sounds like an antiquated ideology. Then he challenges it and says, but isn't it tough for men who aren't Jujutsu sorcerers and women who can't bear children to live in a society like that? Maru explains that they don't really see it like that. For them, anybody who works hard for the community or defends their people are basically respected and loved, which are things that are able to be done without being able to wield Jujutsu sorcery. He uses Jabaloma as an example of someone who's not a warrior, but he's done a whole lot for the community and everybody loves and respects him. After this, the point of view switches to Jujutsu High, and it's the day of the big feast. We're introduced to Kyoko Tomoe, who's a Jujutsu High nutritionalist, and she's barking out orders stressed the fuck out. Apparently, she thought she was only preparing regular takoyaki and not party-style takoyaki, which is basically like mass-producing it for like a communal event. While she's scraping and scrambling, trying to get things together last minute, we see another really interesting conversation between Usami, Jabaloma, and Dabura. Jabaloma is explaining that the Discante chieftain put a death curse on Dabura's sister, which activates when the chieftain dies or when Dabura defies a direct order. They're hoping that maybe the Japanese Jujutsu sorcerers can investigate this and find a way to lift the curse. Of course, Usami and Mino see this as a perfect opportunity for the Japanese people to earn a favor from the Sumerian. Usami explains there's a curse tool in Africa called the Black Rope that can cancel out the effects of curse techniques. It will be a little bit tricky to get their hands on it, but it's not impossible and they're willing to try. Dabura thanks him for even trying, and Usami says we're gonna do everything we can. This conversation is put on pause when the food is finally ready to be served. As Kyoka and Yuka start rolling it out, we see Kyoka lock eyes with Dabura. They share this really intense moment where you can tell both of them are kind of feeling the same thing. She's clearly enthralled with Dabura's face card, and he's clearly intrigued by her as well. Because not only does she get flustered, but he starts to get a little awkward, like, oh wait, hold on, I think he's catching some too. Everybody at the table kind of peeps vibes, and Usami and Mino for the first time feel like, wow, this all might actually work out. Things are going perfect, everybody's having a good time, the food is great. Things could not be any more perfect until something goes absolutely wrong. The point of view switches to Osuki on the Sumerian ship, and apparently one of the elders has fallen to the ground and tears are coming from his middle eye. Learned a few chapters ago that the only way they can cry from that eye is if something happens to a Kali. The elder grabs Osuki by the shoulders and says, no, they're dangerous. I saw it. Earthlings, the Japanese. I saw them killing a Kali. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.